I started my career as a waiter in a five-star hotel here in Delhi called Maurya Sheraton. I realized that if I am able to build something like this gentleman that I am investing in today, I will have people who will invest in me. I just need a great idea to obviously be, which is investable. So I think that was the trigger moment when I realized that I also can do the same thing. Why be an employee? Why not be your own boss and try and do something which you genuinely feel? People started appreciating the idea of freshly cooked because it is not reheated, it is cooked after the order is received, it is eco-friendly in an earthen pot. So everybody started liking it, and I realized that obviously there's something that has cracked.
I've got the absolute pleasure of speaking with Kaushik Roy, the founder of Biryani by Kilo.
I have an idea that can be scaled up. I have the experience to standardize and scale up something. Biryani is a product which can be delivered and which was not being done.
Yeah.
Biryani is something that, like pizza and burger came from outside to India, biryani is something will go to the world from India.
We are now on our third series of FounderMetrics. So far, given I'm based in London most of the time, we've largely focused on British entrepreneurs. But it's important to look further afield to take inspiration and learnings from other significant entrepreneurial and startup hotspots. One such place is India, the world's fast-growing economy and fourth largest startup ecosystem on the planet. It's a serious business. So let's take a look at what Indian entrepreneurs are doing. What are they doing right? What are they doing differently? And what can we learn from a nation catapulting itself to global market dominance? Hello and welcome back to FounderMetrics. Today I've got the absolute pleasure of speaking with Kaushik Roy, the founder of BBK, otherwise known as Biryani by the Kilo. All those people who have tried or love biryani need to know this story. Okay, Kaushik, thank you again for joining us today. Just as a quick background, do you want to give us a bit of an idea of the Kaushik before BBK?
First of all, thank you so much for having me on this podcast. And I'll be happy to interact with you and answer all your questions. It has been a very wonderful journey, and it's been 10 years now that I've been running BBK when it started off 2015. But prior to this, I've always been in the food and beverage space. So this is the only thing I know. And I've made a lot of mistakes over the years. So this is my 31st year. So 20 years I've been working. And I actually grew up the ranks in the industry. I started my career as a waiter in a five-star hotel here in Delhi called Maurya Sheraton, which is the Sheraton Hotel. And
I was there I was at the Maurya just 2 weeks ago.
I used to be a waiter there at the coffee shop 30 years back, and I did my hotel management. I did graduate and did my hotel management, but obviously 30 years back it was not a great career to choose. Now I think people are after hospitality. So I grew up the ranks and became a CEO in the 10th year of my career. So went through all the ranks that you can think of in the restaurant and hotel industry to become a CEO of a popular chain of a restaurant in the southern part of India called Pizza Corner at that point of time. It was very popular there. Then in my second last job, I worked with Britannia, which is one of the largest FMCG in the country.
Yeah.
For biscuits, very popular biscuits are made by Britannia, and I was the CEO with them for their retail vertical called Daily Bread, which was premium bakery retail chain. And my last job, I made a shift and I joined a private equity firm as a group CEO for their restaurant investment portfolio. So I think that shift got me the idea that I can also become an entrepreneur, because I was investing in entrepreneurs who were in a very small setup, running small restaurants and helping them to scale up by not only providing capital, but obviously my experience over the years, because I had done over 200 restaurants in my career. So I worked for 3 years with them, and I think I got this kick, realized that biryani was not a category in India. When I'm talking of 2015, the year that I quit my last job. It was just part of the Indian cuisine, but very popular in the southern part of India. People would have it for breakfast, lunch, dinner, throughout the day. So I saw the northern part of India was completely alienated from this product, which is so popular. It has carbs, it has proteins, it is better than a pizza because it is not messy.
Yeah.
It can be delivered, but unlike Indian food has curries, then you have a roti separately or a rice separately, which is messy and you can't order in. This is a product that can be delivered. It is non-messy. Same time, it is Indian and it has the carbs and protein in the combination with the flavors that you want. but the northern part of India was not having this product at all. So I saw this a big opportunity. I was 47 years old, and people told me, "Don't do this stupid thing to quit your job and do something like this." Uh, Obviously, drawing a decent salary, having a good lifestyle. I think the conviction was so strong that I think this is something that has to be tried out. What was happening in the southern part
Can,
of
can,
India?
can I just ask a question, though,
For sure.
Kaushik? Just so, firstly, although you'd always been in food and beverages, whether it was as an employee or from an investment side, they're very different journeys to actually being the founder of the business. So
Yes.
when you decided to dip out of the investment world, was it because you'd already identified Biryani, or had you decided I want to be an entrepreneur, and then you looked for gaps in the market? Which way round did it go?
So I'll tell you, my when I was an employee, I always worked like an entrepreneur. I think that is something came naturally to me, that I always took ownership of what I was doing. And also I had this inclination to learn something beyond what was my scope of work. So if I was an operations guy, I would learn finance, HR, payroll, maintenance, project, something which was not under my KRA, but I would still take the initiative to learn what the other person was doing. So that helped me to first build a portfolio for myself, where I would know all the aspects of the restaurant that is
Yeah.
required. When I became an investor and started investing in entrepreneurs, and I worked very closely with entrepreneurs, I realized that I have all the skill set that the other person has. Why not do it yourself? Why shouldn't I be in that shoes that this guy is?
Well, it's a different thing. You may have the skills, knowledge, but it is a different skill set being on the other side of the table. Dishing out money is one thing.
Correct. So I realized that if I am able to build something like this gentleman that I am investing in today, I will
Yeah.
have people who will invest in me. I just need a great idea to obviously be, which is investable. So I think that was the trigger moment when I realized that I also can do the same thing. Why be an employee? Why not be your own boss and try and do something which you genuinely feel? So then I started, and obviously biryani was one thing that I was investing in the southern part of India, and I was spending a lot of time in the southern part of India, saw all the kind of biryanis that is there. And I saw this gap between, and I have always lived in northern part of India. So I quickly saw this gap of biryani not being available here. And what was available was not even a biryani. It was just a copy or a close, I think, pulao is a word that we use in India. So
Yeah.
which was sold as biryani. So that is something which is not even close to it. So I saw this opportunity, but I saw the challenge why it was not there in India. So that is where the I think my R&D, my knowledge over the past years in the food and beverage industry helped me. I saw in the southern part of India, they would cook them in big bulk of 15, 20 kilo pots, and they are sealed and cooked in that pot. And since the consumption is so high, it would get over in an hour's time, even if you could cook a 15 kilo batch.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in northern part of India, the consumption of rice is not so much as a carb. Roti is a more
Right.
preferred option, and southern part of India, the reverse. So they would so if you have to do sell in northern part of India, then you have to cook in smaller size pots, and it was difficult to cook in smaller size pots. It is always traditionally over 100 years has been always cooked in big pots, which are 15, 20 kg pots. And obviously, the guy who eats first and the last scoop from the pot still gets a fresh biryani because it sells out very fast. That will not happen in northern part of India. I think that is where I put my thinking head and saw what can be done to solve this problem. I realized if I have to cook a biryani at home, my family always cooks it in a small pot. Why can't I do it in a commercial scale? And I started talking to a lot of chefs, though I was not a chef myself. I've been in the food and beverage industry. So I started consulting a lot of people, and everybody said it is not possible to cook in a small pot in a commercial scale. I think that I took it as a challenge. I said, let me do it if it has not been done. So I quit my job on the 1st of January 2015, and 27th of May I started Biryani by Kilo. Obviously, the name was registered, and everybody asked me why by the kilo, and that was another story to it. Is one, I realized being in the food and beverage street, people waste a lot of food at the restaurant because you anticipate and prepare food, and obviously, if it does not sell, you have to throw it on the night. So I used to say that my P&L would get hit by 5 to 7% of wastage. And secondly, I would say customers overorder or underorder because they don't know the portion size. So I said to solve this problem, if I sell by weight, everybody will know his appetite and will order accordingly. So you will not waste food. So if it's a kilo, two people can share. If half a kilo, I have a good appetite, I can finish it on my own, or I need to share. That is where all the whole menu was decided on weight. And secondly, everything that we did was freshly dum cooked. When I say freshly dum cooked, it was cooked on after receiving the order. So that
Yeah.
way you don't waste food at the kitchen. So I tried to solve this problem of food not being wasted at the restaurant kitchen and at the customer's house. So that was the idea of the biryani by kilo and fresh dum cooking.
I know that's brilliant. I mean, when you kicked off the idea back in 2015, had
Yes.
you already met your co-founder at that stage, or did you go out and find
I went out and
Vishal?
found him at a later stage. There's a story to that as well. So obviously, when I started off, I obviously cloud kitchen was not a concept in India at that point of time. It was in fact the term was also not coined in 2015. So I used to call it the stealth kitchen. So I had done a lot of restaurants in my career before that, as I said earlier. But I had seen a lot of restaurants fail not because the food was bad, but the location was bad. And I was so late in life, I said, if I screw up at this stage, I will not go get a job again to go back, and it will be a very big embarrassment.
You had no choice. It was
He has told me not to do this, and I was still doing it, so I had to be successful. So I said, since restaurants fail because of location, not because of food, and I know for sure this is a great product that I'm developing, why not just deliver to customers? And obviously, that time we didn't have aggregators in India. Zomato
yeah.
was
You
just a
didn't have Zomato, Swiggy or Zomato.
Swiggy. So they were just discovery platform where you could find out restaurants for dining and all. So I said, let me do my own website, set up a small call center where people can call in, and I will deliver a bespoke experience. Like because it's so much of trouble in Delhi for parking, finding a parking space near the restaurant. I said you will get the same experience at your home. I trained my riders to go set the table up, put the handi with the small pot that we have, the
That's
fire
brilliant.
that we take to dum cook the handi. I said, let me give me a great experience at home. You can call in and I will deliver the food. As soon as I launched, and in fact, the first day I was about to open the restaurant, 5 in the morning, I went to the streets and put those flyers inside the newspapers, came back to the outlet and waited for the calls to ring in. And I was started getting the first few calls, and we placed the order. And I only went and delivered them. Obviously, I didn't have a big team at that point of time. I
Yeah.
started with a 5 member team. And when I got feedback calls, I was surprised to see people the way they were raving about the product. So I realized that something good has happened. And since it was an advance order, people had to order in advance. People would call me at 6 in the morning for the lunch order. I told myself I have been in the food industry for such a long time. I have never planned my lunch at 6 in the morning or 12 in the night before sleeping. People would mail me saying, please send this for lunch. So I realized obviously I have cracked something good which people are appreciating, which is the biryani and the freshly dum cooked idea of cooking in a small earthen pot that we sell the
Yeah.
product in.
And
And
the reduced waste, because if they're booking it in advance, you know that that's a sale and there's
yes,
almost zero waste.
so there is zero waste, and people started appreciating the idea of freshly cooked because it is not reheated. It is cooked after the order is received. It is eco-friendly in an earthen pot. So everybody started liking it, and I realized that obviously there's something that has cracked. I have not seen in my earlier 200 restaurant that I've done for well as an employee take off so well. It takes time for a restaurant to pick up over time, and this is a hidden restaurant. It's not even a restaurant; it's a cloud kitchen or a stealth kitchen at that point of time. And people are taking pains to find them on Google Map, reaching the location, realizing it's not a dine-in. Okay, then so they will wait in the car, just give it to me. So there was a lot of hype. People would travel from far off because there was only one kitchen at that point of time doing this fresh dum cooked biryani. There was a lot of hype around this concept. People would just come finding us and wait at the outlet. I had one gentleman who was from Hyderabad and had shifted to Delhi, and
Yeah.
biryani, as you know, is from a
From
Hyderabad origin.
Hyderabad, yeah,
He
Nizami.
came at 10 in the
Biryani.
night. He called up and I said, I don't have a restaurant. He said, no, I want to come and meet you. He came with his wife at 10 in the night. I took my hands and kissed. He says, I've never eaten such a good biryani. It was, I was in
Wow.
tears when he told me this. He said, I have never tasted such a great freshly dum cooked biryani. I've been eating biryani all my life.
So how did you get how did you get the recipe then? If you're getting somebody from Hyderabad who loves it, and it's the best that they've ever had, because I've had some great biryanis in Hyderabad. So how did you get
So,
the
see, the,
formula just
when
right?
I traveled to Hyderabad and Bangalore, I traveled a lot before getting into this. And as I said, I was investing in a biryani. So I saw how the biryanis was made. I realized the southern part of India eats a lot of spicy because the palates are that they speak, and northern part of India does not. So I had to tweak the rice to meat ratio based on the region. Obviously, with the northern part of region, so I had to have more meat and less rice or carbs, as you would. And the spice level had to be more medium. I think that people started appreciating the level of spice. If you eat the biryani in the southern part of India, it's very spicy. Some people probably would not be able to eat it as well. So I had to. So it's a mix of 22 masalas or spices in a certain ratio. So I did a lot of hit and trial to get the spice levels right. Thankfully, my palate is also on the lower spice, so probably that helped me to get the spice levels right. Rest ingredients are very standard of fried onion, curd, and meat and rice. So that is not the complicated. I think the complicated part is the masala, which I would till 5 outlets make it myself in a locked room on a Sunday evening and give it to the staff to use it over. And now,
So
obviously,
you never told anybody what the secret for a bit of a Coca-Cola approach.
yes, but now with scale, we'll obviously have to outsource, but we have NDAs that we've signed with vendors who obviously make the masalas for us. But it is still a secret. No, none of the staff knows how the masala. It has everything in it. They have to just add it to the biryani, so that is how it comes out.
Very
So
cool.
I think that
And that consistency, you're able to, with even as you've scaled the production of the masala, you still have maintained the consistency of product.
Yeah, so that comes from my corporate background. I was in the pizza business for a long time. Pizza Express is something that I spent 5 years. I worked in the UK in Pizza Express. So the biryani is assembled exactly like a pizza, and probably I was so much influenced with pizza because I saw the how pizza can be standardized, and it is the same. And I always draw the biryani to a pizza comparison, carbs and proteins. You can change the base, you can change the topping, and you can have a seafood, you can have a chicken, you can have meat, lamb, whatever you want, and you get a different variant. And similarly is the biryani. So my actually
Very,
you
very
will be
clever.
laughing if I tell you my kitchen is designed like a pizza make line. If you have been to any pizzeria or Domino's or any other
Yeah.
pizza that you it's assembled in a linear manner where there's a recipe portion chart, so many grams of chicken, so many much of masala, curd, onion, and you seal it, dump, and there's an app-based timer, and if the bell goes off, that means the biryani is ready. Our biryanis are sealed in a pot, so we can't open and see if it's cooked or not cooked. Like in a pizza inside the oven, you just pull it out exactly at 12 minutes or 10 minutes and it's cooked. The same philosophy I had used for making the biryani because I realized if I have to scale, I have to make a system. And in Indian food, it is more difficult because there's a lot of skill required.
I mean, even within a family, and they've all been taught by the same mum as to how to make the handi or the curry. It will be different.
If I have to scale over multiple cities, I have to get it exactly like a pizza. And
Yeah.
anybody with probably a day's training should be able to make the biryani exactly the same. So it has been designed in a way where anybody and you also can make the same biryani, and it will come out exactly the same. So we've tried to stand. So it is very simple. It is not that difficult in a pizza or a biryani for that matter. We have to standardize the input material, which is
Yeah.
the rice, the chicken, the fried onion, the curd, and the masala. So we have standardized those
But
products.
I would have thought also things like, with a pizzeria, you have a standard oven and you know where it's being placed in on the stone. With curry, with biryani, I'm guessing the device that it's cooked in is also has to be very, very standardized.
So there are two variables in this. One was the earthen pot. So I spent a lot of time to define or design the earthen pot, how much of moisture it can absorb, what thickness, how much what thickness at the bottom, what is the dia of the handi. That took a lot of time to make sure that it is exactly the same. So if you cook anything in it at a certain temperature from top and bottom, it will give you the same product. So that I think we spent a lot of time trying to spend time in designing the handi, which we have again patented and taken trademarked on the shape and size that we have,
Yeah,
and the equipment where the biryani is dum cooked again. So and that is how we try to get it to a pizza level of technology, and cooking
consistency.
process is exactly the same. And that is the only way to scale up. Otherwise, you will not be able to scale up. Then I would be probably a one restaurant wonder here today.
Vested is the best rated ShareTech platform. What does that mean? It means that we make share schemes a dream, and over 90% of our customers agree that their scheme has helped them to retain, recruit, and to lead and succeed. Because companies that share stakes share success. So get them invested by giving a slice of the pie. For more info, Search vested.
Without the second E.
Okay, so we've gone into how you've developed the process, and the logic of that is obvious. You know, all your experience from certainly from pizza making came into its own. But tell me about your co-founder and the journey first to meet with Vishal, and how he changed how you were growing the business.
So when I opened my first outlet and I realized that I have cracked something good and we need investments to grow. Obviously, investment was not my forte. I have been an operations guy all my life, and thankfully I met Vishal on LinkedIn. He was from an investment background, and he's been in the investment space for 25 years. At that time, I think 15, 20 years or so, and he was looking to invest in something, and we met from the investment point of view and became very friendly. And he also opened up and said that I don't want to be an investment, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to do something like this. I've always been in
So
the
you found
investment.
another like-minded individual.
I said I am looking for somebody who can help me raise funds. Is something that I don't know. I don't know how to read a SHA document, which is I don't know how to create one. I don't know what are the dilutions and all that stuff. So Vishal and I think, struck a chord at that point of time. I realized that he has a skill set that I don't possess, and I have a skill set that he does not possess. We'll be a great team together. You will not believe, on a small piece of paper at the coffee table, we just signed few terms saying this is how we will share our company's equity today, and we just signed over it, put a stamp. It was a rough piece of paper, and that was our agreement between us. And this is how we start off from today. And he came on board. He said, I don't know. I told him that I don't want an investor. I want somebody who can be full time with me. He said, okay, give me 3 months time. I'll quit my job and come and
Wow.
full time. And
What year was that? Because I mean, back in
2015 May I started. He joined me in October, November.
September, October, and
Yeah.
when I look at the information, you only had 86 lakh, which is about £75,000 of
Yes.
turnover in 2016.
Yes.
And now you're obviously massive at 300 plus
300 plus.
rupees,
Yes.
which is about 26 million pounds. I mean, that's a massive growth. For him to have had the confidence, what was it, do you think, that made him buy into the idea with you?
When he looked at me, I think he was also wearing an investor hat when he realized that I have an idea that can be scaled up. I think, and I have the experience to standardize and scale up something. He also realized that biryani is a product which can be delivered and which was not being done.
Yeah.
Third, he also, and he keeps telling this to everybody, saying that biryani is something that, like pizza and burger came from outside to India, biryani is something will go to the world from India. So that
Yeah.
so that is something which is given. Somebody has to do it right to be able to take it to the world. So he realized that I would be able to create those processes that can be replicated across the world, and probably in a loose term, we can become the Domino's of biryani at one point of time. So he probably saw that skill set in me, that I could probably standardize. I don't think like a traditional entrepreneur or Indian this thing. I'm looking at something that can be scaled up, put a lot of processes, and keeping the food Indian, which is very popular in India. And he can plug in the rest. He knew strategy, he knew fundraising, he's seen big businesses in the past. So I think we found a great thing. So I always tell that God has been kind. Few things just fell in place at the right time, right category, right people joining hands together, and this came out right.
So in those early days, you had Vishal with you, and you were building out, as I say, 2016. It was still very nascent as a business. How did you feel at that stage, and at what stage did you feel the confidence? At what stage of evolution of the proposition did you feel actually we're on track now? Because for every founder, there's a big period where you're underwater. You don't know whether this is going to work. So how did you go from that brilliant idea, the energy that comes from the idea, then there's all the work and all the reasons, all the problems for why it can't work, and then when you come through that to a place where you can see the light? Tell me about that bit of the journey.
The first outlet started doing well, became profitable in 2 3 months time, and with Vishal coming in, we put in the second outlet. So we took 2 years to do three outlets only, and we tried to tweak the process, make the biryani come out faster. Initially, it used to take hour and a half. Then we got down to 30 minutes over, with adding a lot of technology. But what worked for us, and I thought that was, as you mentioned about the North Star goal,
Yeah.
I realized in the food and beverage industry, that is most important thing is your repeat rate of customers. My repeat rate of customers coming back to me, and that point of time in Google was not very popular, Insta was not there, Facebook, so the internet was not very strong at that point of time. So I didn't have Insta page. Facebook was there, but obviously ads and all were very
Yeah.
nascent. Nascent Google ads were very nascent, so you can't do anything. So it was a genuine repeat customer that you would get, and word of mouth was very strong. Now you can probably change those behaviors with internet coming in and becoming such a strong, social media becoming so strong. So my repeat, I used to check, it would be 65-75% of my customers used to be repeat. A lot of people would call me up and say, "Ki, please take my neighbor's number and please deliver it to them." So I think this doesn't happen in a natural. I would not do it for my neighbor. So that gave me a confidence that people are actually appreciating the product. They're coming back to us more often than I would have imagined, and that gave me a confidence that people like the product and this can be scaled up.
So whereabouts was that, Kaushik? Was it because
It was
end
2016 end, 2016 end.
2016? So nearly 1.5 years into your
One and a
journey.
half years, yeah. And we went to the market to look for funds, me and Vishal, and everybody said, "Well, this is biryani does not do well. It's not in India, does not sell in India." We had a tough time getting the first 5 lakh rupees of check. I think we spent a month running after the investor to get the first 5 lakh rupees of check. That was the first check that we got as a investor. Somebody gave it to us.
How much was that? How much was that first check?
5 lakh rupees.
5 lakh rupees.
Five lakh rupees, and so very small compared in today's. It was not even the cost of my setting up one kitchen, but that was the first check. Then we went on a road show to showing angel investors our concept, and to Chandigarh angel investors. So we went to a lot of road shows and we made presentations. Went to reality shows type of stuff where we had to stand up and show our product, how it will, and so people would not buy in that cloud kitchen can work at that time, unlike today, because that was not a concept that was proven that point of time.
But you said you set up your first kitchen in just 90 days. I mean, that's just bizarre to even think of, is it?
So 90 days. As I said, I resigned on the 1st of January in 2015. 31st of March, I was out from the organization. 1st of April to 27th, or not even 90 days, so less than 90 days, I had up and running the first kitchen. But as I was saying that the people would not believe that the cloud kitchen can be successful. It was not a concept that was proven. They thought it was one or two kitchen wonders that has happened, and that's why it's not investable. It can't be scaled up. So they said no, they need a proof of concept over certain areas, more locations. So we actually had to get to 5 outlets before actually somebody could come and invest
Yeah.
as an institution to us.
And getting to that stage is obviously a real challenge, especially with limited funds. I mean, as you said, your first investor was just five lakh rupees. But when you're then thinking about that at that stage, were there some things that just went so smoothly? Because it sounds like even for 1.5 years of getting from not being sure of where you are to the end of 2016, when you were pretty clear that you were on a good thing. Were there things that just were fortuitous? Was it things like meeting Vishal, or the way in which your masala mix was appreciated? What things really do you think that was really lucky?
So I think really lucky was doing a cloud kitchen, which was just fluke because I had very little capital.
Hmm.
I actually wanted to do a dining, and then since I was very scared, since I was very late in my life, I sold my house, car, everything just to safeguard my capital. So I said, let me not do a dining. If I go wrong in the location, I might not be able to come back again. So let me do a delivery format. And I used to call it the stealth kitchen, as I said earlier. So I think that was that was, I think, just sheer luck. It just because I had very little capital and I didn't want to do a dine-in. I would have invested more money doing a dine-in sit-down outlet. I decided against it, and it was not a format that was proven or anybody was doing it. There was no proof of concept in that. But I think it was just sheer luck from that worked for me, which I think became a concept later on. And picking up the right category, I think, is very, very important. But since I saw this gap of biryani in the northern part of India and starting in northern India, not in southern India, I would not be successful if I had started from the southern part of India.
Why do you think that would have made a difference? Because I guess if you think about it, there are more biryanis eaten in the south. So from a market, total addressable market concept, go to the south because it's not a big thing in the north. So that was a bold move, actually.
Yeah,
Bold
that
decision.
was that was a risky move, but I realized the product is good. People have experienced the product when they travel. People travel a lot, so they've tasted the product. But
Yeah.
that kind of product is not available in this part of town. So I think that was a conscious thing that I took a gamble on. I would use that word gamble, and not do it in South where it was tried and tested. I said, let me try in a market which is not tested. So that two things I think worked on my favor.
So end of 2016, all is good. You go into 2017, 18. Before the pandemic, how big had BBK grown?
Before the pandemic, we were close to 50 outlets, and post-pandemic, we opened another 50 more out. We are 110 outlets today.
And during that period, I mean, I know that in the UK, certainly there was a big growth in home deliveries on the back of the pandemic. Did the pandemic for you in India, did it help the business? Was it a catalyst or was it almost like a pause for the business?
First 3 months was a pause, obviously, because there was a big lockdown and nothing happened. But once the lockdown eased up a little bit and home delivery was allowed, we were rocking because two things. One, unlike others, we had a more hygienic product because it was a product that was cooked at a lot of heat. One, so and obviously there were a lot
Yeah.
of materials saying that things that are cooked at a high temperature has lesser chances of infection. And
Yeah.
secondly, our product once prepared was not touched by hand. It was a sealed earthen pot.
That's a
So
really good one. Yeah.
that gave a lot of confidence to my customer, saying that this is something which is not touched by hand. And we had home delivery of our own, then zero contact delivery, all that we added as an extra thing. But our hygiene levels were always there because I came from a background which I have seen how international restaurants perform. So have tried to keep that level of hygiene at my own restaurants as well. And because of the sealed handi and high temperature, that gave a lot of confidence to the customer. This is a product which is safe to be consumed. So we got a huge, I think, tailwind at that point of time.
Yeah. So you went into the pandemic with 50. You came out. You got to 100 by what time horizon?
100 we came, 2023, I think we were 100 outlets. So we last year started consolidating and became a little bit slow because there was a lot of pressure from investors to consolidate the business, get our
Yeah.
processes more right. We acquired two more brands later on, which we added to a kitty. So we were adding more things to the portfolio.
So when you expanded in outlets, obviously it's easy to consolidate around infrastructure that you have in a city. And in India, you've got the mega cities and the smaller tier two cities. How did you decide where you were going to do the next outlet?
So obviously NCR or Delhi was our first choice where we started off. So we started expanding in Delhi. But once we started going outside, so Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore was the obvious choices,
Yeah,
and Pune the metros. But the tier two cities were a big target for us from day one for the only reason that we wanted to have the first mover advantage. We knew that we had cracked something good. People will get into tier two cities, but tier two city, if we are the first mover advantage, we will be more, people have more loyal customers. A city like Jamshedpur is a very small town where I come from. That's why I'm taking that name. We did the first outlet and it's still one of the highest selling outlets, sale outlets there. Because people haven't tasted that product at all, one. And people have the money, but they want to try something premium which is not available. And after us, a lot of other biryani players came in, but we still are the leaders there. So I think that first mover advantage in tier two cities was very important for us. That's why we went thin We spread ourselves to 45 cities versus just getting deeper into the existing cities.
So what gave you the, so as you say, you started off in Delhi NCR. What made you, at what stage do you was it when the investment came in that you realised that you had to go beyond, or was it prior to that to give evidence for investment?
No. Post investment, prior to investment, we were only in Delhi and had one outlet in Bombay. So
Right.
we wanted to just prove that it works in two cities. So that is the reason we had done. But after investment, we started going to multiple cities, and tier two cities was our first preference to get into.
So when you look at the business of each of the outlets, as you say, you've got over 100 now. How do you know that the market in that area has space for more outlets? Because in London you'll have I don't know 100 Pizza Huts and Domino's and everything else.
So I'll give you a small, very honest answer. I take Domino's as a proxy. If I see how many Domino's are there, based on that, I decide how many outlets I can plug in. So I have kept that as a proxy. It is very easy. They have done the maths. They've done the homework for the density of people around that radius, and I just use that as a proxy, and it has worked for me all the time. Yes, beside this, we also get some amount of data from aggregators in terms of volume of business in an Indian cuisine and all, what kind of spends are happening. Macro level data, not very micro level data. So we try and put them together and just get to, and the gut feeling is the last thing that obviously I always take, because I personally go and have a look at the location myself all the time.
So you've been to all of the locations?
Yes, all of them.
Fantastic.
That's exercise I have not given up yet. I still do that.
Vested is the leading ShareTech platform. What does that mean? It means we make funding rounds a dream, so you can raise with ease. Our platform helps founders secure investment, scale fast, and succeed. Because companies that raise smart grow strong. So take the stress out of funding rounds and raise with confidence. For more info, search Vested.
Without the second need.
For yourself, we talk as founders, as business leaders, there's always those very common KPIs, whether it's around cash flow, profitability, etc. Can you give us a feel from your perspective in terms of what helped you steer and gauge yourself in terms of the business being on track from your perspective? What was the thing that you were looking at? Was it the smiles on the customers' faces, the feedbacks on Facebook or sites? What was it that gave you the comfort that you're in the right place and your growth is in the right way?
So I think there are 2-3 things that we look as a growth. One is the same store sales, triple SG, that we look at. How is the same store doing over last year? I think if that is growing, that means new customers are coming on board to that outlet. That is one. And I mentioned about repeat customers, which is very important. The third thing, we are very finicky when it comes to customer complaints and feedback. In fact, I still have a center just to take care of customer feedbacks, record them. I get alerted for every feedback that comes in over a certain rating, and try and personally reply as much as possible. So,
Wow.
so that it's a big task, but I have a slot for the day that I just only read reviews. So because I have taken reviews very, it is not what you like will be successful in the market. It is what your customers like. So that is something I've learned long time back, that I'll have to listen to my customers if I have to be in the market. And you have to keep changing. So India is a very dynamic. Every state is like a new country by itself. So it's not that what has worked in Delhi will work in Bombay or the southern part of India. So we do a lot of market research. We talk to customers and see what we should change. So just to give an example, when we went from the north to south, we had to change the ratio of rice to meat. As I was telling, that they eat more rice, less protein. So I had to change the ratio. Otherwise, people would not accept us. So that McDonald's also does in India. They have a aloo patty burger and a butter chicken burger and all. So that variation one has to do. You can't be very rigid that this is my standard recipe. Yes, the product does not change. The overall product ethos does not change. But the palate has to change based on the region. So we do that.
And I think that's great. So that's the spice mix. Does that change as well?
The quantity of spice mix changes to how much of level of spice we want to keep. So we want southern part of India, it's a little bit more because they want it more spicy. Northern it is less. So the grammage will change, but the mix does not change, because otherwise the profile, the flavor will change completely.
And in each location, I'm guessing it's essentially building up as a franchise, effectively, yeah?
No, each and every location is our equity outlet. We don't franchise in India. Uh,
And so how do you choose your local partner?
Outside India is franchise.
Right. So how do you choose your local partner then? What do they have to do? When you go into a new area, you will set up a new facility, the manager or the leads for that
Yes, yes.
facility, the person who you're giving the keys to that property for. How do you go about selecting them?
So usually what we do is, first of all, the location is validated by me after looking at the data. The
Yeah.
key team members that run that place is hired, is always vetted out by me. And most of the time, the people from Delhi who have been working with me for over a period of time get transferred to the new location. So there's a smooth transition in the new city. And then we get new people on board slowly over there who learn from the old people. Thankfully, God has been kind. My people have been working with me for last 10 years and are still working with us. So we have a lot of old hands in the system. That helps to easy. So there's a very robust process. Before the call, I was talking to you only about, we also have ESOPs in the system. We have people who have company who've got equity in the company. So they're equally invested in the growth of the organization.
That's brilliant. It's good to hear both from that vested perspective, but also from that loyalty that you're building in with the team. So you mentioned in India, you've gone for the ownership model. Internationally, you're looking at the
Franchise.
franchise model. Where are you internationally? Which geographies are you in now?
So we just started international. We launched Dubai last week, the first outlet in Dubai.
Last week.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
last week itself we just launched. So that was the first one we did partner, and they will be expanding. So we'll not sign up single unit franchise for international. So we've
Yeah.
taken somebody who will do the
Who
complete
then
UAE
builds out
with us.
the platform in that
Completely,
country.
yeah. So once we know, we are a little bit confident that we are able to support, they are able to maintain the same standards, have the same ingredients and all. Once I think that is ironed out, we will start expanding to other countries as well. So this is just a learning platform for us to see how international behaves and how we are able to support. I think very important, the support and the consistency of quality is maintained exactly the same way. Processes, yes, some tweaking required for the regional changes that is required. Like UAE, you're putting a mandi in the menu, which is a very popular dish, which is similar to a biryani. So
Yeah.
some local changes that we are doing are using lamb instead of mutton that we use in India. What is popular? So all those small tweaking that is required, we are doing that. I think once we get our feet wet and are more confident, we'll start expanding internationally.
And so, have you got in your mind's eye, do you have an idea of when you will go beyond Dubai? And for that to happen, what are the things that you need to feel that you feel that you've solved before you take that decision?
So I think biggest problem that we need to solve is the supply chain. Earthen pots are very critical to our business. If you've seen, they are given earthen pot. So the first container to Dubai went from here, but Dubai does not unfortunately have soil, so we cannot. So the next country will be a place where there is some soil, and we try and get those earthen pot made locally, because sending them from India is going to be a big task and a huge
Uh,
cost.
I would love to see BBK here in London.
We'll be
But
there
I
soon.
mean that pot issue. How do you understand? Have you even thought about? I mean, you spend a lot of time in the UK, and you love London, as you mentioned earlier. So, have you sussed out the earthen pot opportunity here?
We are working, so we've found vendors who can, which is closer to UK and can be transported to UK, but we'll obviously have to solve that part a bit, otherwise it will be a big cost to transport earthen pots from India as of now.
Yeah,
So we're trying to solve that. Others are, I think, easy. Rice is available everywhere,
yeah,
onions and everything, so masalas can go from here. So that's not a big cost. The earthen pots is the one we're trying to solve that issue.
that's interesting. And what about the ovens? Are they something that you have designed specially and patented in any way?
No, they are standard generic ovens, so I don't. So there's no. Yes, there is a requirement of heat from down, bottom and top, so that is configurable. So they're standard ovens. So I think we've not done.
That
Not
wouldn't be
required.
an issue from
That is
an
not an issue. That is
international
not an issue. The cooking is
perspective.
not an issue. Equipments are not an issue. Just the earthen pot is an issue which we are trying to resolve.
So beyond Dubai, where's next? Where would you like to be next, straight
My
after Dubai?
like to be is London for sure, and we are looking at Singapore, which is another very obvious market for
Yeah.
us. It's a great market for us. We're talking to some people there in Singapore as well, so that's another obvious extension for us.
And what about for yourself, Kaushik? You know, this is your baby. At what stage do you see that you will step back from it, or is and sell it out to some international brand, or is this something that you're going to hold on to?
No, obviously, I'm also getting old. I need to pay way for the new generation. I'm 56 years old, so probably there will be a few more years before I'm able to move on and have a retired life. But till I feel that it is in the safe hands and somebody will be able to carry on this legacy that I have built, is very, very important to have that second level of people coming in, which is and have the right home of investors or strategy investor, whichever, who will show them the right path and take it to a, because I want to look back later on and my children should be able to look back and say this is something that my dad had created. So I think that is more important than the money. I think money comes and goes, is no not. So I think that legacy is more important. I don't want it to die off. So I want somebody to lead it with the same amount of passion that I have led it over so many years. So that time hasn't come yet. So there's a long way to go, and I still have the energy. So I don't think I should be thinking about it so soon.
No, you shouldn't. But I'm just we're of a similar age.
I have an open mind for it, but when the time is right, I think I will.
Because ideas like this don't happen every day, and you know how capital, given your previous jobs, you know how capital gets excited when they can see a model that, yeah, I guess in my own mind, this could go absolutely international. This is a global proposition without any
Yes,
question.
yes, for sure, for sure.
Because, I mean, not just the Indian diaspora, which is very much global, but the love of Indian cuisine is very much international as well. So what's next for yourself? I mean, you're still passionate about the business. You still want to grow the business, obviously. But is there that need in yourself to create a little bit more space and time for Kaushik? And as you mentioning about the family?
Yes, so obviously my family has been deprived of my time for the last few years. Is something that I want to. So my second part of work is to now create a second line of command that can think like me and be as passionate me. That is one. Secondly, work on technology that can ease operations further,
Mm-hmm.
reduce intervention of people so that it can be scaled internationally where labor is very expensive. India labor is not very expensive, so it doesn't matter. So you have to go abroad, we'll have to mechanize a lot of things. So we are working on technology that can ease the operations of the kitchen. That is one, I think, very important for us. Trying to mechanize the way the rice is cooked,
Yeah.
how the biryani is done cooked. So try and make processes stronger, get some mechanization in the kitchen so that you need less manpower. I've seen videos of no manpower kitchens in the US where sandwiches are dished out, they are from robots.
Can you
So,
imagine people buying robot prepared biryani?
so I'm not thought so far, but at least able to cut down the cost by 50% will be a long way, on a long way. So we're working with some partners who are trying to mechanize for us. There are some people who
Wow.
do a lot of robotics for us, robotics. So we're working with them to try and skip some steps that are manual in the process.
Yeah. I guess when you think about it, a lot of it is, as you say, even once it's cooked, there is no human contact. So it'd be strange if you had no human contact even before it's cooked. But yeah, I guess there are a lot of steps in preparing of any food that could be automated or mechanized. But yeah, to take it to that ultimate stage where it's 100%. I'm guessing there must be 100% automated pizzas. Is there anywhere that you
Yeah,
know?
I know I've seen sandwiches, so pizza I'm sure should be there. Pizza is the easiest thing to automate, I think. I've seen, oh yes, I've seen dispensers giving pizzas, like a Coke dispenser and a pizza
Yeah.
dispenser. Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah, I've seen that.
Well, Kaushik, what an amazing journey you've had, and thank you so much for sharing it with you. I'm so looking forward to the next steps of BBK, especially the international. When I'm back in India in a few months, I'll be trying it firsthand myself. But I'm very much looking forward to seeing it here in London and to maybe even share one with you. Thank you again for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of FounderMetrics. Remember, even the biggest of ambitions are completely doable when you know what to manage and track. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and you'll never miss another one. You can visit us on www.vested.com, where you'll find piles of additional resources, articles and exclusive content. You can also join our thriving community of entrepreneurs and founders by following us on the usual socials and YouTube. Until next time, stay inspired, stay driven and keep writing your own success story.